This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to SafariLive. It is... Well, he just materialized. My name is Steve, joined on camera by David. We came to the last site of Hosana in Tingana this morning, and he was gone. We were busy leaving the area to come and find some tracks. We found a hyena, we followed the hyenas right back in here, and as we got the 10-second, there's a hyena in the drainage in front of him, Davy. As we got the hyena, we got the 10-second call saying that the show's starting in 10 seconds. We're reversing out to get the hyena in shot. And who would materialize from our right-hand side and walk straight towards the vehicle? No other than Hosana, the little chief. Please, ladies and gentlemen, send through your questions and comments to hashtag SafariLive. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know what you'd like to chat about this afternoon. We're super excited now to have found him. We thought we were going to have to put in a little bit more work than that, but we came back. There's no sign of the juke. There was no sign of the kill on the tree, but there, what Hosana just smelt, there were two enormous poos that hyena have dropped, and their smell is quite pungent. No doubt, while they were watching the juke in the tree, they decided, well, we're going to drop a little bit of our own odor in the area, and Hosana seems to have lost out on a lot of his kill, even though his belly does look pretty full. I wonder where Tingana has moved off to. Hard to say. The little chief himself, though. Sorry about the pole there, folks. Sorry about the pole there. I'm just going to... Oh, he's going to move away from the pole. Hang on 1 second. I'm just going to call this in. We've got Rexon coming onto the radio. Okay, well, we're going to go over to Sydney quickly while we try and re-establish the sighting. And he has found for you a wonderful, tall giraffe.
I have got one of the very most lovely animals. This is one of the tallest animals here in Djuma Game Reserve, the giraffe. This animal can be very tall, up to 5 to 6 meters, the males specifically. And what we are looking at now is the male. How do this male differ with the females? I will explain to you just now. My name is Sydney and I am traveling with Fergus, my camera operator. We are going to be with you this afternoon, and warm welcome to the beginning of the show. Our temperature this afternoon is quite very cold and is a little bit cloudy, is overcast, and which is very good for predation when it comes to the cats. For questions and comments, you can follow us on Twitter, hashtag SafariLive. You can also follow us on YouTube chat stream. Look at that beautiful male giraffe. The males, they've got light, they've got dark spots. Females, they have got light spots. Apologies for the poll. We have got a tent this afternoon as the rain is promising. So there will be quite a lot of problems when it comes to the camera this afternoon. So the giraffe is deciding to go down towards the drainage line. I'm just going to try and drive around and see if we can have a better sighting from here. So now let's see. Already Steve is lucky with Hosana. I haven't seen Hosana for some time now.
Yeah, well, sorry, folks. We're just trying to reposition here. He just stalked and chased the hyena, which is quite awesome to see. And now he's decided he's going to lie down. Poor boy. Hard work feeding two people and then having to feed hyena at the same time is, I think, starting to grate his goat a little bit. He's not interested in feeding. I mean, I suppose he's tolerating feeding Tingana because he's leaving him in the area. But hyena as well, oh, that's just way too much to deal with for the little chief. But fantastic that we've managed to find him again. We're about to drive off and search. And lo and behold, as is always the case with this beautiful fella, he likes to just make himself known. I thought that was world class, Davy, don't you? Megan was like 10 seconds. We're trying to get the hyena in shot. You know, hyenas never stop moving. Dave was completely looking the other way. And I'm like, look this way, Dave. And there was the chief, the little chief. Can I move back an inch for you with that branch? Just, you see, I'm trying to avoid those 3 landmines you can see just in the bottom of the screen. We do not want to get our wheel in that. How's that? Is that better, Darby? Not really, eh? Right hand down. Unfortunately, about the roof does get in the way sometimes. Oh, well, I think that's as good as we're going to get right now. I'm going to stay here with the little chief, see if maybe Tingana materializes back on the scene. Maybe we'll reposition, go down into the drainage. But in the meantime, David Gitu, my favorite Kenyan, is up in the Mara with a lion.
Hello everyone, and a very good afternoon from the Masai Mara Triangle in Kenya. And we just saw a beautiful lioness just going down there. My name is David, and filming with me today is Big James. Hello James. Jumbo Jumbo. And how exciting, we just had the kinktail on the frame for a few seconds, and then she decided to lay down. Now, today I want to give the boys in South Africa a bit of competition in terms of our sightings, in terms of the weather, and in everything. See who will be doing better than the other, South Africa or Kenya. Feels much warmer here, 76 degrees Fahrenheit, 24 degrees Celsius. It's much warmer than it is there. And while they started with the leopard, we got a lioness there, or a lioness here. I'm going to move forward a little bit. Sorry, something's just coming into my eye. I'm going to move forward a little bit and find out where that one lioness has gone. It's not very far from here. Let me just reposition and see if she is alone. I got a feeling there are 3, and they form what we call the sausage pride. The sausage pride in the Mara Triangle in Kenya. And of course, sorry, because of the heat of the day, I have to back up there. There's a little big boulder there. Because of the heat of the day, they may be laying down flat. All right, let me move to the right, away from that little termite mound. Not a rock, thank God. So, hello girls, we're getting very close to them. James, tell me, what angle do you want? Do you want me to move forward a little bit? Is that good for you? Back up a little bit. Okay. Keep coming. All right. Now, James, show us your magic. Show us all your talent. Where are those 3 ladies? Very good, James. Well done. Laying flat. And the one that we saw standing up, we didn't have enough time to watch it. That is what we call a kinktail. If you look on its tail, like that one there. Very good. Did you hear me, girl? Thank you very much for flicking your tail when you had me talking about you. So we got 3 females here that form the sausage pride. So the one we just saw was the kinktail, and they got 2 more. Look at that one, laying down, legs up, and they look to me like they're very well fed. As much as it is hot during the day now, they look to be very well fed. Now, this might be laying here because of the heat of the day, but there could be a spotted cat somewhere trying to look for some food.
Yes, well, Hosanna, my favorite leopard in the world, is stalking that hyena again, and we're in a better position this time. Hopefully we're going to get to see what he does. Hyena's walking off with a bone in its mouth. It's just off to the right there. Hosanna is giving him the deliberate get away from here sort of I am going to fight you, stalk you kind of feel. Isn't he just the coolest? Sorry about the pole. Gary, the hyena is probably following leopards for the kill, but invariably there's more, you know, there's potential to scavenge from what is already here. And that hyena came back and found some leg bones. So I don't know how long they've been on the ground for. Then Hosanna came back and was challenging for that. So it's really hard to say. The hyenas, they got amazing senses of smell, and they like to follow. They like to follow leopards around. They like to assist them in. Well, not assist them, sorry, I've seen another vehicle coming and I've got two trains of thought. I'll just hang on 1 second, sorry. Yeah, Orb, sorry, I've got him on this side. He's just after a hyena, just on the drainage here. We're going to move. That hyena is basically just trying to opportunity and try and steal whatever it can. There he goes. Where are you going, Hosanna? What has he spotted? The hyena is up on the top there. It's this proverbial game of cat and mouse that you always have. The hyena got very powerful jaws, and they are very opportunistic in the way that they will sort of attack leopards or chase leopards off their kills. And they probably wait underneath the tree for a long time until Tingana most likely dropped that kill or moved off, and then Hosanna dropped it. We don't know, but they will take whatever they can get. They are very good hunters, as you've seen in some of the Mara segments. Okay, well, he's moved off. They've got an amazing stamina, and on a cold day like this, they can cover enormous ground to go and check over there, and then go and check over there, and then follow that leopard, and then come back and check this leopard, and just keep sort of moving and moving. Okay, well, we're going to have to try get through there somehow. Very difficult. The big rain roof on. I think we can go through there, Davy. What do you reckon? Yep. Well, hold on, folks. We're going through the drainage, but in the meantime, let's go over to Sydney and see what he's up to.
I am now heading towards the western side of the game reserve, and my apologies for that. It is drizzling at the moment. The rain is showering a little bit, so sometimes it does affect the camera a little bit. So I was just wiping so that you can have a good vision. Where I am now, I am on Viotella Access, trying to check if I can find one of the leopards which has just been spotted earlier on the past 15-20 minutes. I just want to try and pick up the track soon as now. The chances of a sighting are very much high. It was somewhere here.
Turn right, then turn right. Turn right, then turn left.
So it is somewhere here. So let's see now how the lions are doing there in Masai Mara this afternoon. David is having a fantastic sighting of the lions as I'm talking now.
Good luck, Sydney, and hopefully you're going to see that leopard. You'll be having 2 leopards with only my 1 or 3 lionesses here. Well, I'm not sure in my next life what I would want to be, but looking at this one lioness, I would want to be a lioness. She's really panting. 2 things I would say for that reason. 1, the belly looks to be full. She looks well fed. And 2, it is hot. 76 Fahrenheit, 24 degrees. For lions, it's too hot. And then she hasn't taken the best position for some nice shade, you know. I think she's halfway in the shade and halfway enjoying some, you know, open in the sun. Wow, look at that one paw. And that either could be from the sister. And just see how that paw is bouncing and one is flicking the tail as he's panting. I'm not sure, that's not a kinky tail, James. It should be the other one. Could be limpy. We got 2 that I know for a fact. Kink tail, and we also got limpy. Limpy, when she walks, you'll see her limping, you know. Slowly limping as she walks. Not very bad, you have to look at her very carefully. And then kinky, if you look kinky, automatically you tell from the shape of the tail. At the very base, as the tail comes with that total height from here to here of the tail. At that point there, it takes that kind of shape. And even when it flicks its tail, you'll always see a slight little, I would say, it angulates at this point. And I wouldn't know what might have happened to her. And then Limpy, when you see Limpy walking, she walks. They're more or less the same size, both the two girls. And when you see her walking, she'll have a little limp. You have to look her very carefully for you to see her limping. We're going to be waiting and see if they might wake up. But at the moment, they're just enjoying their nap there. Very typical of lions. Most cats, when they're fully fed, but once in a while, the tail will flick, the ear will move. But if I were this lioness, I would move completely and I'm covered by the shade, because I would say hot sun makes them pant more. Sinak, always a pleasure to hear your name. And your question is, how do lions cool off? And well, when it's too hot, they have always known the first thing they need to do. They'll locate a tree or some thickets or some bush of some kind, and they'll go and enjoy the shade of that. So that's the only way I know lions cool off. But occasionally, we have seen lions going in swamps or even in rivers and either laying by the banks of the river where it's much cooler, or getting right inside the swamp and they're submerged in the water. So those two ways are the ones that I know, lions will always cool off. But also panting helps to cool off. Please remember to keep asking us questions as usual. #SafariLive and follow us on the YouTube chat stream. Let's find out what two other predators would be doing now.
Well, Hosanna is chasing this hyena in circles. The hyena still seems to have the same bone in its mouth. Hosanna's stalking up to it again. It might come into shot in a moment. It's just a little bit further up. You can just see it in the background there. And he's not happy with it. He keeps chasing it around. I don't think he really is putting too much effort into it. There he goes. You showed that hyena, Hosanna. Well done. Now, he's done that about 2 or 3 times, and then afterwards he will do that. He'll lie down, feeling very accomplished with himself. As you can see, he's not full. He probably could have done with a little bit more of the meat that his father stole from him. Oh, look at him go. That is so cool. Now, the hyena is backing away because there's nothing really to defend. And Hosanna's it's more of a game for him, really. If there was some food involved, it would be a very different story. How beautiful. He's posing for us now, Dave. He is a superstar. He knows how to play the camera, doesn't he? So I think he's quite grumpy with the whole situation. Carrie, well, he's only 2.5, just over 2.5 years of age, so he's still got quite a little way to go. I mean, by the time a leopard is 3.5, they start really showing maturity, but not until he's 4.5, 5 is he then regarded as a proper adult. Yeah, Rex, just off to your right-hand side there. We just got another vehicle joining. Rex was coming in. He'd seen the hyena, who's now departed from the scene, and Hosanna is looking well chuffed with himself. But these conditions, leopards could invariably still hunt again. Nice and cool. But so when he's 4.5, 5, then he has the potential to become a dominant male and to demarcate his own territory. But he's still got a lot of growing to do. He's still a small leopard. And these confrontations with hyena and other leopards are going to continue. Lions and wild dogs, they're going to continue. They're going to go on. Sorry about the pole there. We still have the roof on for the rain that was falling earlier this morning, and it's still quite overcast. You never know. But let's see. Is he going to play the game and walk right up here in front of us? I think he might. The hyena has just moved off to the left. I can just see him with my nose. Over my nose. Here he's coming up in front of us, Davy. He's just in front of the car now. just below the rim of the car. He's going to chase that hyena again. He's stalking him. Seems to be a different hyena that's come in. It's not as dirty as the last one. Still picking up on the smells. He's right next to us. He's using our car as some shelter. He's just given us the classic Hosanna look. And look at him. Sorry about the back of the vehicle. This is all live, folks. We have no control over the movement of this cat. He's defending this area as if he has staked claim to it. Sorry about the aerial. We're going to have to just move back slightly. Just slightly. Jack, you want to know when he'll start mating? Well, he has the potential to now, but he won't be accepted by a female, not in natural conditions. Generally they mature about 4.5. It is known of them to mate a bit earlier, but that's not really good for the dynamics. The female leopards want a strong male who's already demarcated a territory, because if they haven't demarcated a territory, invariably a female falls pregnant, she has a cub, and then a dominant male will kill her cub. So they want the protection of a duke, for example, like Tingana, who's looking after the territory, and any cubs they sire will fall underneath his protection. So that is the general sort of behavior of leopards. Obviously, not all leopards read the book, and there are reports of younger leopards mating with females, but it's not really natural. It shouldn't actually lead to cubs, because if it does, it's an enormous waste of energy for those leopards in the production of cubs that are not going to survive. Well, Hassan has come right out onto the road now. He's showed that hyena a thing or two. Fantastic stuff to be able to see him doing his thing. He's got a really annoyed look to him today, doesn't he, Darby? He probably wishes he could do this to his dad, but Tingana's way too big for him. And the thing is that Tingana wouldn't back down to him. He would stand his ground, and the hyenas keep moving away from him. So to him it starts becoming a game. And if there was a carcass on the floor, or the largest sort of animal that the hyena couldn't pull away, I doubt the hyena would be running away from him. But it is something that develops in these interactions, is the sort of the reputation. Certain male leopards have got a different reputation from others, and Hosanna is still quite young. Whether he's stirred the fear in the hyenas yet is hard to say. He's certainly not showing any fear of them. Although not long ago when Brent was here, he did climb up one of these trees to escape 3 or 4 hyena, but that's just numbers. Doesn't seem to be too concerned with 1 or 2 at a time. But there's not too much. None of the animals are willing to risk too much when there's no carcass to defend. Okay, well, we're going to stay with Hosanna and see what he gets up to. No doubt there'll be more interaction and play to come, but it seems like Sydney is still on the tracks. Let's see if he's found any more signs of a leopard.
I have been looking for these leopards for a few minutes now, but all I could find it was the very fresh hyena tracks behind the leopard. Very much difficult to locate this leopard, and the signs are very much difficult to read at the moment as the rain is drizzling a little bit. But here where I am at this stage, I am by the Galago pen, where I am hoping for this leopard to come maybe for a drink. But while waiting to see what is going to happen, I have got something very much interesting to share with you this afternoon. In fact, there was a... here comes the very lovely bird here. So I have got some of the Cape turtle doves. So the Cape turtle doves, they are monogamous, meaning that these birds, they are partners for life. And these birds, when it comes to one of my traditional beliefs, is very much interesting. The doves, normally they can cure some of the diseases and some of the things amongst a lot of the vendor people. And this is what you have to do. We normally take the container full of water, and then we put it somewhere under a tree just to attract them to come for a drink. We know that after drinking, they are going to also have a water bathing. So they will use that water for a bath. And the water which has been used by the doves, we take it and we give it to someone who is experiencing a lot of bad luck. So these birds, they are regarded as birds of peace, and we use their water in order to clean away the bad luck. So it's like here by the pen, if I just come here and collect a little bit of water after they are water bathing and use it just to bath, I know that that is going to wash all quite a lot of bad lucks on me. So it's quite a very lovely bird. So now I am going to carry on looking for this leopard. I'll be heading back again to the main road to try and see if I can pick up the tracks if he's not coming here to the water hole at the moment. So Fake, let's carry on and go around here. So before I leave, let's go to David. David has got the lions in Mara as I'm talking to you now.
Well, Sydney, you got some work to do, and luckily our lions, one of them has put his head up. Hello, boom! I'm not surprised by that. What they will do once in a while, they'll put their heads up and just look what's happening around them, you know. It could be anything. It could be elephants or buffaloes try to come through here. And once they see nothing is coming to where they are, they just go back to sleep. Hello there. I'm not sure this is the kingtail or the limpy one, but you can tell they are flat. They may be here for another long time, enjoying sleep under this torchwood tree. Shandrak, how are you? And you're asking what is my favorite animal to watch. Now, let's first look at the big animals. I'm talking about the herbivores. Sanda. I would say elephants are my favorite animals to watch. And maybe, luckily today, I might be able to show you one or two or a few number of elephants. When we look at the cats, I would say I love leopards, like what Steve Ovo has, the Hosanna, because unlike lions, when I look at both of them, the leopards once in a while tend to be slightly bit, not much, slightly bit more active than the lions. So I would say my favorite animals to watch when I look at the big animals, elephants. Number one, when I look at the cats, number one will be the leopards. But today, I think I'm not doing very badly with these lions here. The only thing is they're flat and just sleeping and not doing much. Well, it's a fly, and these flies sometimes are always very irritating to the lions. Please remember to keep sending your questions through #SafariLive, and don't forget to keep following us on the YouTube chat stream. Lions, what time are you going to wake up? Jack, how are you? And that's a great question. Are they not vulnerable when all of them are sleeping? I would say lions do not have as many enemies. But of course, once they go down like that, the only concern would be, for example, I would say elephants. That Jack could be the only concern. But it's true, when they're all lying flat like that, it could be a bit tricky. But Jack, you'll be surprised that lions got very sensitive ears like that. The hearing sense, it's very, very accurate and very good. So anything that would be walking on the grass, they'll easily pick it. That's why you saw the one that had, you know, her head up, Jack, is because the grass was blown a little bit by the wind and not sure what it is. So they'll just put their head up like that and they will look. And then when they flick their tails like that also, they could be sending some message to anybody. We are not really sleeping per se. It could be a reflex, or sometimes it could be a fly. But yes, it's tricky when they all sleep like that. But they know for a fact, Jack, they don't have as many enemies, eh? If anything, their only concern would be hyenas, but hyenas would be a concern to them if, for example, they got a kill and the hyenas will want the same kill. But we will not have hyenas coming, you don't have hyenas coming to the lions. Well, this lions looks a bit flat and a bit sleepy. I might be leaving them for a few minutes and move around, see whether I might get something else that is interesting and more alive. But Hosanna is maybe more active than these lionesses here.
Yes, he is active. He's going through a very deliberate grooming process. Giving himself a proper once over there. He was cleaning his claws quite deliberately. And then obviously the crown jewels for a little bit. And no doubt it's going to lead to him moving again in the next little while. He hasn't actually stopped since we've found him this afternoon. And there, if you look on the floor, you can see the warmth of him. If you have not seen these images before, folks, this is coming from a very specialized camera called the FLIR camera, which picks up the heat signature. You can clearly see where the warmth is on the cat. His paws are very, very warm. Look at the warm patch he left on the ground. He's going to come and walk right behind us again. Isn't that beautiful? Look at the tracks he leaves behind. A little bit of warmth on the ground. How gorgeous. We're going to get a couple of bits of the vehicle in the car there. That was a little bit of the vehicle. He's gone directly behind us. And we're going to follow him. Sorry, you might have got a little visual of me there in a bit of thermal. I'm wearing lots of layers, so I'm nice and warm. We're going to follow him. There's a good chance he's going to go off and drink now. A few vehicles in the sighting. We're in the front, so they're going to leapfrog. This is Leopard Ingwe Alley. It's going to slowly meander this way, and Voetela Pan, which we know is Hosanna's favorite haunt, is just around the corner. So as I move over onto the side of the road here to facilitate the leapfrogging, allow the other vehicles to come through and to come past. Rosalind, I think, you're just going to get a vehicle in the shot there. I think a leopard's hearing is far better than humans, but then they're born out here and they live out here all the time. They're constantly paying attention to their environments. Like Herbie's ears, I've got pretty good hearing, but Herbie, the game scout, his hearing is impeccable. So I get to the point where you train yourself, because you're using it for survival, because you're using it for everything in your lifestyle, for your survival, for food, for whatever, your hearing just gets better. And my hearing, by living out in the bush here, is very good in comparison to a lot of my friends. Sorry, Davey, let me just put him there for a sec. Comparison to a lot of my friends, because, when you live in a city, you train to sort of drown out the sounds of the city, just like the smells of the city. You drown them out. You don't want them because they're just overwhelming. But out here, sense of hearing, sense of smell, and there you can just make out one of the tracker's feet. So your senses will get heightened if that's your sense of survival. But I think if you had to take a human living out here versus leopard, their hearing would be better. But if you can train yourself to get better. But talking about animals that have got incredible hearing, while we move up here and see if we can keep up with Hosanna, we're going to David Gitu up in the Mara has got one of his favorite animals to watch, and they've got those really big ears.
Very good. I'm not sure who Megan was asking me what is my favorite animal, and I mentioned an elephant, and I also mentioned leopards. Now we got an elephant there, and look at that tail there. Well, she got her trunk up, and I'm not sure what she's trying to pick up. And that's how they'll always sense and read what could be happening ahead of them as they keep moving in that direction. I don't know, the baby's also trying to learn something from the mama. And I'm looking at that tail, and it is looking a bit kinky also, like the lioness we just saw a few minutes ago. Look at that tail. It has a little curve, it's bended. All right, trunk up. We have always believed from the village I come from, anytime you see an elephant with trunk up, it's a sign of good luck. that's very widespread in Africa. And James, what do you think is good luck for us today? All right, James says the good luck for us with that elephant raising his trunk up, it's rain. Thank you, James. And yes, I mean, it feels a bit humid with that so high temperatures. Thank you, James. James thinks rain, and personally, I am thinking of some nice barbecue tonight. Well, let's see what will happen. Either some nice barbecue for dinner or some rain. Clever mother puts the baby in the front. Very typical of mother elephants, keeping so close to them, but also doesn't want to take any chances. She moves a little bit. Precious Barbie, well done. That's a great comment. This is very adorable. Seeing the mother walking, trunk up, the baby walking, trunk up, learning, and I think she's a good baby. She's learning, or rather a good mother, or both of them a good mother and a good baby. Both of them are learning from each other. Let's see what are the lessons that mama is giving to that calf there. So she'll go, she'll stop, either think of something, open the ears because of the heat, and the baby's so close. Mother moves, and also the baby moves, staying very close. The direction they're heading to, there's some nice swamp, and my guess is they could be going for a drink because it's rather hot at the moment. Nice trunk up, yes, that's quite adorable, isn't it? Look at that. I don't know what she's learning. I'm not sure she's getting all the details the mother would when she got her trunk up. But I think my mom puts her trunk up. I should also do the same. See, there's another elephant on the left. This green patch where you see the one on the left moving now is kind of a spring there. And I think the three of them, that would be the destination. Either have a drink or eat that soft grass that will have a lot of moisture in it. It's not flopping as the ears as before. Isn't this wonderful? So keep moving. So this could be two sisters, and this one has a baby. The other one does not have. It's a very basic social structure of Alice. You could have two sisters or cousins together, and the baby is moving towards the water. And what we're going to do now, we might try and follow them. And James, we got another big bull. I don't know how far that James is. If you pan to your right, James. Sorry about my head there. Thank you, James. The big bull coming, and I'm not sure he is part of this. See how majestic he is. It's a huge male, and male tend to be alone. Lazarine, hello, and that's a great question. How good is an elephant eyesight? I would say perfect, very good. They see very well. And I would say they see more better at night during the day. Many times we have seen walking in the darkness, like in the village they come from, and Rosalind, you end up with elephants that you don't see. You know, they're very big elephants, like that one you see there coming. See how majestic he is? And their feet are like padded, and you don't even feel them, or you don't even hear them walking. The next thing, you see them charging towards you, and you go, wow, where did this one come from? So I see that elephants got wonderful sighting. Look at that big guy there. So eyes for the Ellis, I would say they're perfect. They also hear very well, but I would say for a fact they got very, very good sight, and they would see better. And what we do with elephants, when you bump into them, so long as you show them they can see you, it's always not a concern. But I think some of the animals elephants don't love seeing close to them are leopards.
No, elephants don't like seeing leopards too close. They often will chase them. Osana's just moved into a little thicket here. You can just see him stalking over there. I think he saw scrub hair. There he's moving. You don't want to make too much noise here. I saw him come in and I saw scrub hair run. And then he did a little bit of a stalking motion. Now he seems to have spotted it. Scrub hairs, to stay safe, they stand very, very still. Fortunately, we're probably going to miss a lot of the action by parking here. can see him a little bit on the thermal camera. It's not great. I'll stick with this for the moment. I don't think we're going to get through there without making too much noise, Dave. He's still in the same place. Just see his spots. We've seen how fast scrub hares are, and I've seen him catch one, but I think a lot of them get eaten, but so many survive. I've never seen more scrub hares in my life than I have here on Djuma. Okay, I think I'm going to move forward. See if we can see him through there. Angie, I don't think he's going to share with anyone if he gets a scrub hare, that's for sure, but you know, that's if he gets it. He can go under the radar with the scrub hare. It's when he decides to hoist these kills, which is exactly what a leopard's supposed to do. But I think it's kind of his tax at the moment for being in the area with Tingana is to provide. Have you got him? Is to provide the Duke. Ah, there he is. He's looking very deliberately at something. There he is. But a scrub hare, I think I've seen him eat a scrub hare in about 10 minutes. All he left was the entrails. So it's interesting. I don't really think he's that hungry. I think it's just the weather conditions are good. He's feeling maybe a little bit cold, so moving is good. And then something moved, and being a cat, he just can't help himself. Something moved in front of him. He's got to catch it. It's fantastic. Hello, Rosalind. You want to know how long leopards' whiskers are? Well, I've never measured, but I'm going to guess that they're about 6 inches or so, maybe somewhere around there. Davy, you ever measured a leopard's whisker? Not yet. Maybe we'll ask Hasana when we get another moment, when we have a chat with him. We'll ask him how long the whiskers are. Yeah, if we look at them, 5 inches, 6 inches maybe. What an interesting question. I've never thought to measure. I have been close to a leopard 2 times, leopards that were darted for research purposes, and that was the last thing I thought about measuring was the whiskers. But I should make an effort next time, or maybe talk to my research friends who measured every part of the leopard, and he's definitely moving his back haunches. Look how he repositions his feet. Yeah, Megs, I think it might be worth inviting others on the platform. I just don't know what action we're going to see, because it's a dense thicket in front of us here of sickle bush. So us getting in there, I think we might see him move, and then getting in there is going to be almost impossible. But we don't want to move at the moment because we don't want to influence the prey or the predator here. So the scrub hare is doing everything in its power not to twitch. They have that ability to stand absolutely dead still, and it's what gives them that camouflage and that sort of inconspicuous ability. But the patient leopard stalks up very, very camouflaged and is waiting for the slightest of movements. And if that hare maybe twitches an eye or a nose or an ear or stumps a foot, well, the game could be on. But there's an impenetrable thicket between us and whatever he's looking at. I think it was a hare. It could have been a duiker. I just saw a flash. Could be anything there. It wasn't very big. I mean, look how camouflaged he is. We're about 30 odd yards away from him. How he just blends in with the background there beautifully. Just commenting to Dave just before we came back on air what a good hunter he has become. I mean, we find him with kills regularly, and I don't think he's stealing them from anybody. He's not stealing them from Tingana. I suppose he's a growing lad. He's very hungry. Remember when I was 18, 19, you just couldn't get enough food. Hey, Davy? Just couldn't get enough food in us when we were younger. I have a level now when I know I'm full, but when you're a growing cat like Hosana, I'm sure it's an endless battle to keep the hunger pains away. Oh, thank you, Ravinda. Ravinda has commented that leopard's whiskers are about 7 inches, so I sucked that one right out of my thumb. There he is moving. Look at the leopard stalk. But we're not going to be able to see whatever it is he catches. We'll hear it. Maybe he will chase it past the thicket. See if we can keep pace with him as he moves through that thicket. This is the leopard habitat. This is exactly what they've evolved from. Move through bushes like that. You see, if he doesn't move, he completely blends in with the background, which is really, really incredible. Disruptive camouflage, they call it. You wouldn't think it's camouflage when you see it in plain sight, but its objective is to break up the 3D characteristic and to sort of just change the way the light falls on it, the angle. Really, really cool. He's inching his way forward. He might come out in the open on the other side of this thicket. We're just going to have to wait and see. So we often talk about how these little thickets are used by small animals for roosting, nesting, hiding. Sometimes it's to their advantage. We've spent time with Tundi hunting, and she checks every little bush, every little scrub she can come across. And I think Tristan was with Hosana the other day, and he was jumping into these thickets in hope of scaring something out. Were you with him, Dave? Just jumping blindly into patches of vegetation, hoping to spook something. I suppose it works from time to time. But look at those bots. Safari Sally, yes, the scrubhair makes a bit of a yelp when they get caught. I've only ever seen one get caught before, and it was by Hosana, and it happened right next to my foot. So, oh, he's gone. There he comes. Oh, it went the other way. Oh, I think he's lost it. It did it. One thing scrubhairs are incredible at doing, I saw it out the corner of my eye. The scrubhair came, banked around. He came the other way, and then it just did a complete 180 degrees in the opposite direction. So I think he has missed that individual. The scrubhair came around here, and then he came around and just took off in that direction. What a beaut. Okay, well, Darby, we're going to get over this log somehow. I think we get around that way, eh? It is a very difficult area to get through here, but we are going to do our utmost best. I think that might be the better way. Okay, well, while we try and navigate this thicket, don't want to get any unnecessary punctures, let's go back over to Sydney and see if he's got any updates for you.
I have managed to get hold of the very fresh track of this leopard. Not too sure if it's Tingana or Hukumori, but this leopard, unfortunately, the tracks went down all the way to a private concession, Buffalo's Hook, whereby I don't have access to follow. They were very much pretty fresh. It's just that maybe we were just behind him in minutes. So I don't think if his Tingana's gonna come back today, because mostly he goes down there and come back after 1 or 2 days. Maybe he'll come back tomorrow late afternoon. If it's Tingana, this will be part of his normal territorial patrol. It's what he's doing. He goes there, he's just coming and going, coming and going. So now I'll be heading towards the eastern side of the game reserve, where I am hoping to go and now look for Tandi and Talamba. I haven't seen those two for a while now. So now let's see the largest land mammal, elephant, in Masai Mara with David. I think he got quite a very good sighting there.
We are very lucky now. We are showing you the whole savannah of the Masai Mara, and you can see how magnificent the savannah is. And look at the beauty of the grassland, the bushes, and all the animals we shall be seeing. And many people have always wondered why we call the Masai Mara the Masai Mara. Masai because of the local people here, the Maasai people. We got 3 major linguistic groups in Kenya. We got Nilotics, Cushites, and the Bantus. The Maasais are part of the Nilotics, but then the Maasai. Then the Mara, if you're up in the air, what you see is the open savanna that James was showing you a few seconds ago. But that will always be dotted by a tree here, a bush there, or an elephant here, or a zebra there. And we're going to be seeing some elephants now. And those dots to the local people, to the local language, are called the Mara. And that's how we ended up by saying the Masai Mara, or precisely the Mara Triangle. We've got some elephants there. If James, you go to those elephants, and they're having a drink along that stream there. Very good. And behind them, we've got some zebras, and they're having a drink. Elephants. Beautiful stuff. All right, scratching a bit, not trying to, I don't know whether they're trying to clean the water or trying to get the dirt out. Gary, how are you? And I'm not sure what I'm going to say about your question, because in the Mara, if you don't get stuck in the Mara, you don't call yourself a qualified guide. Mara has a combination of all terrains, a combination of all types of soils, but our toughest one is the black cotton soil. And when it rains, it's very easy to get stuck. And the savanna basically is flat, open grassland. And most of the grass that you see in the savanna grows on the black cotton soil. So you'll be driving through the grass, and you may not see some wet parts that are very, very soft. And I can tell you, any one guide who will say I've never been stuck in the Mara, I do not think he'll be very honest. Yes, personally, I've been stuck a number of times, but we'll always do all what we can and always get out. We get boulders, we dig, we get big trees like what you see there. We carry machetes with ourselves. We cut like those ones you see there. You can see some. We take such logs like what you can see there. We've got very special high lift jacks, and we lift the vehicles up. We cut leaves like that, like what James is showing you, and then we always make our way out. One time I had some guests who were telling me, can you have that elephant push us? It was a huge male elephant, like 6 tons, like what we were showing before, we were watching before. But yes, that could not have been possible. They're still enjoying their drink. So such green spots, when you do not see them and you're driving a bit off-road and you end up in a soft place, that's when you really get stuck. Zebras coming back out there in the background. Funny, elephants drink a lot. If you look at those zebras there, they don't seem to be drinking to me. They are only eating. Thank you, James. because we all know elephants eat so much and they drink so much. So the zebras here eating, flicking their tails, wildebeest in the background. Well done, James. And now this is forming the migration. Where we are now, we are seeing small pockets of migration coming in. And it depends on where you are. You might see one group being led either by zebras or another group being led by wildebeest. From what I've been seeing where we are for the last 3 hours, this particular group here is being led by the zebras. Sometimes the zebras take more courage. You can see them walking there. They take more courage than the wildebeest. Even when it comes to crossing the famous Mara River, you'll always see sometimes the zebras plunging in the water before the wildebeest. Or you get the zebras pushing the wildebeest in the back and tell them, come on, let's go, let's go. So come the next few weeks, all the grass you see there will be being eaten or being flattened by the wildebeest once they get here. And that's the time you'll see the elephants, like now, going separate ways with the wildebeest. Jack, hi, and sorry we got a car driving in front of us there, but I'm sure they're also enjoying this beauty. And your question is, are the elephants' herds smaller here in the Mara Triangle than in Juma in South Africa? I would say it depends on the herd and where you are. The one big difference, I would say, is the habitat between these two game reserves. In the Juma, you got lots of thickets in the vegetation there, but in the Mara, it's more savanna. So it's not a wonder to see about 50 or a herd of 100 elephants together, Jack. So I would say, depending on where you are and depending on the vegetation with you, we would tend to say easily you see bigger herds in the Mara Triangle than in Juma, but the numbers would be the same. Nice baby there. I don't know what the baby is doing there. She is not drinking. And I think now they're just uprooting some wet grass, which I think is full of moisture in that little spring. The mother going close to the baby and maybe trying to teach her something. Hello, Mama, just trying to push the baby. I'm not sure what direction she wants the baby to go. There are two babies, in fact. There's that one with the female on the left, and I think on the right there's another baby. And I think it's getting maybe a little bit warm in Juma in South Africa, and the spotted cat is having maybe a nap.
Well, Hasana we caught up with. I swear he doesn't like to be lost. We had to get through the thicket there. And when we came out, he wasn't just hiding in a thicket or down in the drainage. He was standing fully in the open, looking back at us, going, I'm over here. And then as soon as we caught up with him, he lay down. He's just that kind of cat. Very special indeed. Hello, Minamu. Whiskers on cats, well, let's talk about whiskers in general. Whiskers are a sort of a sensory, have a sort of a sensory function. They probably communicate. I mean, it's difficult really to know. I mean, if you look at catfish have got sort of barbels or whiskers on their face, and that allows them to see in very murky water. So we can assume that it's got some sort of communication to the brain in sort of low light conditions or conditions that you can't see in. So if we extrapolate that onto cats, then you can think that the whiskers help them to identify the size of space. Maybe there's pheromones they pick up in the air. I know that my cat was very sensitive on the whiskers. You know, you couldn't really tickle them or play there. They were very sensitive. So there's all sorts of stuff going on there that we can't really guess at. Can you extrapolate? I mean, the nightjars that we have that fly around, they got proper whiskers that come out of their face, and that's to see in very low light conditions and to help sort of guide food into their mouth. They even keep them clean. A very specialized sort of claw on their foot that looks like a comb. So, and we see these adaptations in animals that see in the dark or use the dark for their advantage. And so the whiskers have evolved some form of function that obviously assists them in very low light conditions and obviously gives them all sorts of information around them, about their surroundings, about the size of the space they're moving in. Maybe it picks up on wind direction, movement. It's really hard to know. Everything is only a science, really, or a guess, a hypothesis. But we know that catfish see in very low light, muddy conditions, and those barbels help them with that. We know nightjars have the whiskers to assist in feeding. And a lot of flycatcher birds that we have whiskers as well around their beak, which assist in with feeding, but also protecting their face against the kicking legs of insects that they might catch. So there might be some protection afforded to leopards' eyes, maybe, to those whiskers there. I don't think they're stiff enough, really, to protect it from a hoof of an impala or something like that, but maybe there was some form of function in the past. Bearing in mind these cats evolved from much smaller cats that were probably in a much more forested, dense area, and they had to use all of their wiles to find these animals. Vision was probably the least used. It would have had to be smell, hearing, and then picking up on all sorts of other sensory sort of things in and around. Wow, Byron, 12 years old, that's a wonderful comment. What would leopards do without whiskers? They would look rather funny, wouldn't they? I think I've had the same question before about what would leopards look like without spots. And well, they'd look like a mountain lion, but all cats have whiskers. They all have them here. And I think, I don't know, it would affect them greatly. It would affect them greatly, but we don't really know. But they've evolved them. They've probably come from a very long way back. And the depth, really, to which the whiskers assist cats in their movements is still, I think, quite misunderstood. All of the sort of ideas are put forward there, all ideas. Obviously, none of us know 100% for sure what the receptor is at the base of the whisker, where it goes in, what it is actually picking up on. But it's right there, around the nose, below the eyes, right there in the middle of all the action. What we do know is it definitely helps them to sleep. They do a lot of sleeping. They don't seem to do any proper sort of cleaning of the whiskers, not like the nightjars need to do. But anyway, it seems like Sydney has found a lovely animal. Let's go over to him and see which one.
I have got the elephants very stationary feeding here. This is quite a lovely sighting. Look at that. It's quite a very small family. Not too sure where these elephants are heading to, but I can see that they are moving towards the northern side of the game reserve. Quite a very small herd. So you can see they are now trying to feed. They are even feeding on some of the dry leaves. So it means now they are feeling the dry season. Look at that. Look at that ear. The ear is wet a little bit. It means it has been picking up some soil and throwing soil everywhere. Look at that. So they are also going to cross now towards a concession. We are lucky to find them here at the moment. Lovely to see the elephant on a convoy. This is surprising, seeing that the little ones are not even teasing my vehicle, because I know the little ones mostly, they like to tease cars. Look at that. NP, that is very much difficult, because the fish can be able to pick up the movements of anything very easily. And also the elephants, when they are drinking, they've got, like African elephants, the trunk is divided into two layers. It's like a nose. When they are picking up these waters, they can. It's going to be very difficult to pick up a fish. You can hear that the big one at the back is trying to communicate with the rest of the herd through kind of a vibration. It sounds like stomach grumbling. Jack, the elephants, their favorite food is the marula fruit. So the fruit they like the most is the marula during January, February when the fruits are ripe. But when it comes to the vegetation, the elephants, they are not selective. So they just feed on all these kind of trees, but they prefer the spine and the thorn trees, because the spine and the thorn trees, they provide them with quite a lot of proteins. The thorn and the spine trees contains 8% of proteins. So the grass only contains 4%. So that's why they must have to be concentrating on these big trees, specifically more acacia or vachelia trees. So I can see now that the sighting is getting disappeared. So I'm going to move a little bit forward so that we can have a better sighting. Safari Sally, most of these elephants, they produce 5 to 6 babies on their lifetime. It takes time before the elephant come back to have another baby. Now we've got a very good sighting. All of them are nice and close. Look at this little one right there. This is beautiful. My apologies for the poles. As I indicated earlier, the rain is drizzling and can be very much sensitive to the cameras. So I've got my tent with this afternoon. So look at that. Carfax, I didn't copy the question very well. If you can repeat that.
Females, the leaders of the herd, not the males.
The females, they are responsible of this herd. They are the decision makers, but not all the females. Amongst these females, we have got one female which is called a matriarch. This is a matriarchal system. And that female, together with her few daughters, are the ones who takes decision. She's the one who decide when to wake up, where to go, and where to drink, and which side are we going to feed this afternoon. Males, yes, they are part of the very same herd, but when it comes to the ranks, they are the lowest on the rank, and they take orders from the females. Even if they can try to choose the directions, the rest of the herd is not going to follow the males. It's quite a very interesting structure. Look at that. So you can see that by this kind of weather, they're not even moving the ears a lot. But when it's too hot, you'll see them flapping the ears a lot in order to cool the body temperature. But because the temperature is suitable this afternoon, they are not worried about moving the ears. So this is beautiful. So the elephants, when they're in a group like this, sometimes you find the old males, they always walk behind the herd. So if you come across them, you have to be very much careful, because otherwise you will go and watch a group of females and the youngsters not seeing the big ones coming at the back. Look at that. So a play like this helps them in order to maintain the relationships here in this kind of herd. This is a very beautiful standing. Look at the other one. Pardon, the elephants are very much peaceful animals. They don't just charge. And before they charge, I will read that. They give me quite a lot of signs. Mostly, they use their ears in order to warn me. So, but if they charge and decide to come to the vehicle, I have got to reverse and move away. You will see as I'm reversing, he's going to stop because what he's doing is to try and tell me, you are too close, please give me a distance. Look at that. This is beautiful. So while I'm still here by the elephants, let's see, Steve has got a sleeping Hosanna.
Yes, well, his eyes are open, he's rolled over, and he's now giving us a beautiful little Hosanna smile. He's a bit sleepy now after his day. It's probably been a very long night for him. Blink once, blink twice, and then he's going to go back to sleep. I think there were some noises that caught his attention. We heard something a moment ago, not sure what it was. Some rutting impala. Jake, I have absolutely no idea. I have absolutely no idea if leopards recognize human faces. Ideally, they're not supposed to be seeing us. If we get off of the vehicle and they see us as a human, well then they react to that. So if they were able to recognize faces, I reckon there would probably be more of a reaction to us than there is. I think they see the shape, they see the outline of an individual, and that's how it basically they identify. I don't think they physically see my eyes, my nose, and they go, oh, there's Steve or there's Dave. I think they see a shape, and then that's what they go with. Just got a vehicle that has decided to join us without using any radio protocol, which is a little bit annoying. Okay. Look at him. Don't you just want to go and scratch that chin? Sometimes, though, the leopard looks straight at you and you know he's looking at you. You know he's looking straight into your eyes. But whether they identify us, it's very hard to say, Jack, what they are thinking when they look. They reckon to become a man, you need to be able to stand your ground to the stare of a male lion. And it's quite an intense feeling. To experience it in a vehicle is one thing, but to experience it on foot is quite the other. But on foot, you would never really attempt to hold eye contact with a leopard because they are solitary animals. If on foot you did happen to see a leopard, you'd not look at it. You'd attempt to look left or right behind it. You'd try not to give eye contact because they're solitary. Looking in the eyes is a challenge. And also because they're so camouflaged. If you look at them directly, you're identifying them and you're proving to them they've been spotted, and then they need to react. And quite often, you can look right past a leopard and it'll just lie there as if it hasn't been seen. I've had that a few times in my life. And then there's no need for them to react in any way. So I have no doubt they do identify a face. I just don't know to what degree. There we go. He's looking at us again. Such a beautiful man, isn't he? Is he your favorite as well, Dave? Definitely. Both our favorite leopard. I'm so happy to have him back on the scene. And now a question I pose to the viewers: why would some whiskers be white and some black? I have absolutely no idea myself, but maybe someone out there knows. They are white whiskers, they are black whiskers. He's got very interesting eyebrows, I'm sure serve a very similar function to those on the face. Or do they? Or the crazy eyebrows we men get as we get older, do they serve any function apart from looking a bit funny when we laugh. Or maybe the black one's a different age to the white ones. I don't know, it's just a question I'm thinking of now as we speak, after everyone's been asking about the whiskers. So if you do know, send through a question, send it through to #SafariLive or drop it on the YouTube chat stream. If you don't know, if you just want to take a guess, well, go ahead. So he's a little bit warm, sitting like that, cooling off his belly a little bit. Still got a little bit of meat inside the tummy. You can see on the thermal how warm his face is, and you can see how cool his belly is, the blue. It's a good spot for him to release heat. Obviously the pads of his feet as well are releasing heat, so if he does generate a bit too much sort of heat and you want to alleviate some, just by lifting the leg in the air and turning upside down is a very good way of the heat dissipating. And obviously if he wants to retain that heat, what we've seen them do is curl up into a ball where they take that whole face area and tuck it in underneath the feet and then keep the feet down on the ground or tucked up into the body. Or they can start moving, which is also what happens. Very pretty. Kathy, you reckon the whiskers are genetics, the colours, some white, some black? Well, it could be, but do you reckon, I wonder, do they serve a different function, perhaps? Different neural pathways to the brain, I wonder. Mermaid, I was thinking the same thing about melanin. Melanin would make them a lot stronger. But, you know, there's only a couple of them that are black, and they seem to be quite far to the back. It's almost like a line of white ones, and then a couple of sort of black ones right towards the back. And most certainly, I'm sure there is melanin in them, which does make them stronger. But is there a different purpose, I wonder? Considering we don't really know the purpose of whiskers, we've just gone and thrown an even bigger question to the mix about the difference between the colours. But they do break. You can see a couple are being broken off there, so they are growing. Lynn, that's a good question. But you wonder if the black ones come from the black spots. But then you can see there on his face that there's white ones also coming out of the black spots. So even on his eyebrow, he's got all those white ones coming out of an enormous black spot. So very hard to say. Very hard to say. Well, that's the wonderful thing about nature, folks, is we don't have to know everything. Always nice to have some things out there that we need to guess or assume, or it doesn't really matter if we do or don't know. But it's nice to be learning, nice to pose these questions of ourselves. Jen, you reckon with age they turn black? Well, I think I alluded to that a little bit. It's potentially an age thing. I'm not sure. I'm definitely going to keep a closer look on the whiskers from now on all of these cats and see exactly what's going on. Maybe we need to do an experiment where on our cats at home and see if there's I can't remember my cat at home if it had different coloured whiskers. They would probably be the easiest ones to work out. We count them, we age them, and we see how they change. It'd be very difficult in a wild animal, but I'm going to keep my eye on Hosanna and notice how those last few on the face were dark and the rest were white. Let's see if we can all remember that in future, if there's any change. Wonder if Tristan and James have delved into those, or if Sydney knows anything about the coloration of whiskers. Well, it doesn't look like Hosanna is going anywhere just yet. We did have a nosy hyena come past again, probably looking for Hosanna and looking for whatever kill he might be catching. But once again, we're going to be heading up to David Gitu, up in the Masai Mara, where I believe it is a sunny day, nice and warm up there. And let's go see what he's up to.
Well, I'm still driving around and I might be having some good news I might have some good news, because if we move to the left slightly bit, James, you see that bush to my left? Slowly move to the bush and see whether you can see anything just by that bush. If you move the bush slowly and to the left, see below that bush if there could be anything we might be able to spot. Not very clear, but under that bush, if you look carefully, there is a cheetah there. We can't see her very well because definitely she is blending in. I'm not sure whether to say she is hiding. But what happens is, because of the heat of the day, and just like the lions you were seeing before, until it starts to cool off, that's when you're going to be seeing them. What I'm going to do, I'm going to reposition a little bit and move forward and see if we might have a chance to see. But right under that little, we call that orange leaf croton, under that bush, there is a cheetah, but I think she's on the other side of that bush, and because of the heat of the day, she is taking the shade on the other side. Let me reposition and move forward a little bit and see how lucky we are. And I'm sure James might be able to do a bit of magic, and we might be able to see either the spots, the head, or even the tail. Let's find out what you might be able to see. Going to move forward a little bit. And all right, let's see. Very good. And Megan, the final control, says the viewers are very excited. We have found a cheetah, and let's see how low she is. She's definitely lying so flat, but it won't take long. That's the position she is in, and it won't take long before she is up, as soon as it starts to cool off. But between the small bush to the right and the bigger bush to the left, that's exactly where she is. And my friend told me earlier, it is a female. The two particular females been looking for around this area, one called Naratoi and another one called Kakenya. My guess is, from the description my friend gave me, this could be Kakenya. We are yet to know, but my guess is this could be Kakenya. And what you're going to do, you're going to remain right here, wait for the temperatures to go down, and that maybe will give her a chance to rise and shine. And as she goes stretching, we'll have a chance to see a cheetah. I'm very excited also, like all of you. And there's no harm staying here a little bit longer to see whether she wakes up. We got to the right position. We are not very far from that bush. It's just a matter of time before she raises up. And maybe I'll ask the final control to help me identify her, to know if it's Kakenya or Naratoi. It's two females that have been around this area we are. Of course, cheetahs, unlike lions that have territories, or leopards, cheetahs have huge home ranges, and they move for, like, I would say a couple of kilometers in a couple of days, of course depending on where the food is. So we've got a feeling that we know this particular area, these two females have been seen here a number of times. And James still hasn't given up. James still thinks he might be, sorry, there was a car there also coming to enjoy this cheetah here, and James thinks either she's going to flick her tail or an ear or something. But right below that shade, or the shadow of that tree, that's where she's laying down. We'll give her a few minutes and I'm sure she'll be up. Great comment from James Henry. Says Kakenya is Naratoi's mother. Well done, James Henry. And then most likely either we have the mother here or we have the daughter. James Henry, wherever you are, that's a great comment, and I give you a salute, and two salutes for reminding me that yes, that's Naratoi's mother. So either we have the mother or we have the daughter. James, if I may ask you, what should you like to see, the mother or the daughter? Let me know. Take your time, no rush. And James thinks, do you think there's any slight movement? If James, you move to the right, James, if you pan there, all right. James Henry, thank you. I'll make sure what you see will be the daughter. I just saw the tail flicking up, James, so just be patient. Don't get out of the screen and stay there with all the viewers, and it'll be so exciting for all of you, including myself. James, are you excited to see the cheetah? James is saying he hasn't seen a cheetah for the last couple of weeks. So if the daughter will be here, James Henry, don't worry. But Big James says he's equally waiting to see this cheetah as soon as she is up. What I can see from a distance is her flicking her tail. Then the tail goes down. That's exactly now where she should be. Just going to be a bit patient and see what happens in the next couple of minutes. They tend to blend in very well. And I'm sure she'll be up. Well, where we are, there's not any waterhole close by. Sydney might be near one.
You see, I am now right at Buffelshoek Dam, where I am following the tracks of one of the cats. You're not too sure if it's Tandy, but this is obviously this is not Talamba. The tracks look a little bit much bigger than of Talamba. So I just got here at the dam. The thing is, the rain is drizzling and is killing all the tracks. All the fresh tracks are not looking fresh anymore. So I just want to try and see the direction of movement here at the dam, just to see after drinking where this animal went to. So the tracks are telling me that this is not a long time ago. Now, Rosalind, I didn't copy that question very well. If you can just get me that question. Did you get that effect? Our wet season here in South Africa, Rosalind, is starting. First rains are coming just by the end of October, beginning of November. Mid-November is when the rains are very good, but rains are leaving South Africa just by end of May. Mid-May is when the wet season is ending. So let's see the cheetahs with David and Masai Mara. Maybe the sighting is developing now as the cheetah was hiding earlier on, but he's still there.
Well, thank you very much, Megan. And this is very typical of cats. As I was saying earlier, just time will tell before this beautiful, cheetah is up. She was up for under what? I would say 30 seconds. She wakes up, stretches, turns around, looks, she's safe, and then she goes down again. But what I want to do now, I want to reposition, go around in front of a vehicle that's in front of me, and see whether I'll get a better chance. But exactly now we know where she has moved to. She has repositioned herself by another 3 meters. Let's find out. And maybe cousins of the cheetah, Hosanna, is still enjoying the nap.
He is napping, but he's rolled over again. He is lying on his other side. He's been staring at us the entire time. I think he's quite interested to get up soon. He's definitely not napping anymore. Well, now he's pretending. As soon as we zoomed in on his eyes, he closed them. I love this guy. So, Darby, that's me laughing. That's making the camera shake. Hello, gremlins. Well, one thing you need to remember about leopards is they're very opportunistic. And they will hunt whenever. They'll hunt at any time of day. It's all about energy. It is quite cool this afternoon, so it actually doesn't cost him a lot of energy to move around. So he would have hunted that scrub hare if it made itself available to him, purely because they're opportunistic. They'll steal food, they'll chase animals, they'll hunt anything that materializes itself. I've seen a leopard hunt 3 times. Sorry, he moved. I've seen a leopard hunt 3 times in one day. Well, I didn't see the hunts, but we saw him kill a zebra in the morning. He hoisted it, and we came back that afternoon. He had 3 kills up the tree, a baby zebra and 2 young warthogs. He wasn't hungry, but they can't help themselves. They will just catch anything that makes itself available. unless they are too full. They'll always weigh up their options. They'll be like, okay, yes, I want to, no. But on a cool day like this, you could always find predators moving because it's all about energy. It's nice to go on long hikes on days like this because it's nice and cool. You can go a little bit further, but walking in very hot conditions, not ideal from an energy perspective. We lose a lot of water. We need to take in a lot more energy because it's more energy consuming. And that's a perfect time to cut to the thermal. Look at how warm his mouth was. How fantastic was that? Now he gave us a bit of a yawn from the back. On his back, he's turned over again. There we go. And after the yawn, invariably what he will do is he will rise up. He hasn't been lying long enough to warrant a stretch, but he heard something in the drainage there. That could have been something that perked up his ears there, caused him to sit up. Cats are constantly interested and intrigued by things that are moving. I mean, it could be a hyena sneaking up on him. He always has to make sure if he hears certain footfalls, if he hears the noise of something, because he never wants to be surprised by something, because if a lion caught him on the ground, well, it would definitely sort him out. So, being a solitary cat, there are the advantages. Here we go. Is he going to stretch? No, hasn't been lying long enough. Thank you, Hosanna, for doing what I said you were going to do. And now here he is walking past us again. Sorry about the pole. Now I think he's going to follow up on whatever it is he heard just down there in the depression. He's starting to smell again. I'd love to know what's going on in the brain of a leopard. There's the pole. Sorry about that, folks. We're going to have to move up a little bit and see if we can keep with him. I'm going to go this way around. There he goes. It's always very special spending time with these cats and watching them hunt. Obviously we want to be as you know, what's the word? We don't want to mess with his hunt at all. We want to allow him to do whatever it is that he's doing. So if we ever do spot or hear animals, we will switch off completely and allow it all to take place. I don't think he's got any specific thing in mind, but his temperature dropped just a little bit, I would say, and now it's time for him to get up and start moving. Invariably he's moving in the direction of a watering hole, and we know which watering hole he likes the most, and at the moment he is slowly heading in that direction. We're not that far from Vuatelapan right now, as he does another walk past the car. And again causes us to turn around, because that's just what he likes to do. Okay, we thought we were going that way, we're going to go that way. And he's turning again. Okay, well, we're going to see if we can keep up with him. He's picked up on something in the wind with his nose. We're not sure what. But while we keep up with him, let's go over to Sydney and see what he's doing.
I am now right on Tandy's tracks. I have just managed to reallocate the tracks now, so the chances are not that very there, but I hope I will find Tandy this afternoon, because I am guided by the hyena tracks following Tandy at the moment until I go to these tracks. So I am going to stick in this area here and try by all means to navigate where these tracks went to. I will be following them just now, and I will keep you posted on the developments here, because I can see here not long time ago they were here. They were right here. Can you see, Fek? It's just that it's not easy because of the Yes, because of the rain, it's not easy to see the tracks from the camera. I can see there as well. So, but I can see that they were just right here. So I will just now follow these tracks and see where these tracks are heading to. And the tracks are pretty fresh. Yeah, these tracks are very, very, very much fresh. Maybe you can see them right there. Angie, the animal stands, it stays around much longer because when it's raining like this, the rain again activates the smell. So this smell that is left behind on this dropping sand by the trees, it keeps coming back again every time. It stays much longer. Now I got that hyena again following the cat's tracks here. Yeah, so I can see here it's nice and clear. So I'm just gonna update as well. Herbert coming. I just want to check. Herbert is on trekking at the moment looking for Tandy. Herbert coming. So now the tracks are nice and clear, see. I'm just going backwards, forwards in order to follow them, to make sure that I don't make any mistakes. I want to follow these tracks until I find these animals. Safari Sally, the hyenas can follow both. They can see them, they can smell them, and they keep following. Mostly the hyenas are the ones that are leading me to the leopards because they always go behind them. But here I can see that these animals are in the same area and they've been here now when it's raining. The tracks, they look very much fresh for both leopards and the hyenas. So now let's go to Hosanna while I'm still busy trying to track these animals.
Well, thank you very much, Sydney. I hope you managed to find her. Sorry, I'm keeping very quiet and still. Dave was zoomed out quite a bit there. I didn't want anything to bump the camera. I find that I'm often to blame for the lens moving because of a little laugh or something, so sorry if my energy sounded a bit low there. Almost holding my breath as well. I don't know what he's spotted, but he's definitely got interest in something. Obviously the direction he's looking. He's listening. He's trying to see if it's moving. He probably saw something move. Now he's trying to see it again, because that is the strategy. I know I talk about it a lot, but that's the strategy of a lot of these animals, is to stand very still and have very slow, deliberate movements with camouflage. And if they're not moving, well, they don't get spotted. But the patience of the leopard, they learn to stand and stare at the spot that was moving and see if they can get it. So that's what he's doing. He's staring deeply into the drainage. I just need to talk on the radio quickly. If you just hold on for a moment. Standing by. Yeah, we're in the drainage now. I can't hear you at the moment, but we're between Ingwe Alley and Pangolin Track. If you keep coming, I'll let you know when I get your audio. We'll be directly south from there. Another vehicle wants to come in and join us, of course. This is a superstar, after all. Proud Cat Mama, you want to know what the most important use of a leopard's claw is. Now, I think you're meaning that the normal claws. And one of the things is to pick them up into tree, to assist them in climbing. They can climb a tree, which allows them to evade the predation. Look how it just disappears by stopping, by dropping down like that. It completely disappears. I'm actually going to get this other guy to come around, Davey. I think Pangolin is just here. Eh? Oh, he's busy on the radio. But one of the objectives of the claw is to get them up the tree The other one is to help them to bring prey down to the ground, to grab on and latch on, to enable them to then pull them around and then deliver the killer blow to the mouth, to the throat or the nose, wherever it might be. And then obviously they also use them when they fight, so they can deliver quite a blow with the foot. Just the claw, just the paw itself will hurt, but then with a whole lot of claws coming out of them as well, they rip flesh. And because leopards and lions have got what we call protractile claws, they're not what a lot of people call retractable. The claws aren't out, they are in the normal position, they are in. And to use them, they extend out, almost like if you flex your hand, you flex the tendons, that causes them to come out. And they come out with strength and with speed. And the objective is to latch into animals. And with the dew claw being higher up on the foot, it allows them to actually form like a bit of a hook, which allows them to grab onto an animal. It's very hard for an animal to get away from that sort of, from that latched on sort of position once it's happened. Have you got any vehicle sounds there, Davy? I can't hear them, eh? Has he moved? I don't know what he spotted. Can't see him anymore, eh? They got him, okay. He's slinking up ahead over there. So back to his hunting strategy. It's just all got to do with temperature. He needs to get up and move to keep warm, and by doing so he might frighten things and then cause them to jump out, and then he can't help himself, his leopard instinct to catch things. Okay, well, we're going to see if we stay with him, and whatever it is that gets his attention seems to have moved off in the other direction. But let's go back up to David in the Mara, who has got another spotted cat.
Well, my cheetah hasn't woken up. I'm not worried. At one point, I'm sure she will, like what we saw earlier when she rose up, turned around, she stretched, she looked, she realized she's safe, and she went right back flat. If my friend of mine had not told me of this cheetah here, and we go back to where she is laying down at the moment, you'd completely never see her. And I'm sure James will show you what I'm talking about. If you just go where she's laying down on the right of that bush there, I can tell you, you will not be able, you could easily just come and drive over her, but of course definitely once you'd hear the car coming, should rise. That's exactly where she is. I'm not sure. I mean, cheetahs will hunt every 1-2 days at most. Either she had hunted before, but once she raises up, we're going to see her better. Sinak, how are you? And good to hear you again. And your question is, do cheetahs have bad eyesight? I would say cheetahs see pretty well. Cheetahs see pretty well, and maybe they see more better during the day than at night. And I'm sure we all know cheetahs have like what we call the 2 black tear marks that come from the eyes all the way to the mouth, that helps them to glow the sunlight away when they go hunting. Well, Sinek could say comfortably, cheetahs see very well, because cheetahs are very gentle cats. They're not very strong, they're not very aggressive, so they need to have pretty good eyes for them to see better. And I would say one other thing that helps the cheetahs is speed. Well, when they're hunting, and of course, if they need to take off from, say, another predator like a leopard or a lion. We've got to back to see whether she is going to rise up and shine, but we highly doubt she is. But it says Sinak, for a fact, they see better. Not very sure, I don't think they smell very well, but they got pretty good eyesight. They need to spot their prey and identify which prey they're going to go for. where we are in the Mara Triangle, the number one prey they'd go for are the Thompson gazelles, and the number two would be either impalas or the grand gazelle. Cheetahs, always you see them in ones. They're always very solitary, like this one female we have here. But occasionally you might see two together. Of course, unless it's a mother and a cub, cheetahs are very solitary cats. Exactly. Did she wake up? Cat Mama, pretty good question, and you're asking, are cheetahs considered endangered? I would say yes. I haven't looked currently at the IUCN status, but the biggest challenge cheetahs now in Africa, I would say it is loss of habitat. There's a big concern of us human beings trying to claim more land every time, more land. We are never satisfied, but mainly for agriculture. Where I come from in Kenya, around the Mara Triangle, we might have lost some maybe 5%, not sure how, of the land, because people want to do agriculture, and especially on the other side of the Mara River, where people might be able to tap water from the river and do a bit of irrigation. So the biggest concern for cheetahs, I would say, is loss of habitat. To me, I would say cheetahs are not thriving, I would say, for the moment. They are surviving. And I would say that could happen to the whole of Africa, and more so in Kenya, where I am. But again, hopefully we'll do or act or do a thing better, conserve them better, protect their land, and make sure we have enough habitat which should be able to support enough prey for them to keep feeding. Leopards, I think they're doing better than cheetahs. Don't you think so, Steve Bobo?
Yes, well, see if you can spot him. There he is. He's lost interest in whatever it was that was around, and he's now lying down, still scanning the drainage, still scanning the area here. He's got a little bit of a vantage point, and you can see he's alert. His head is up, listening, smelling, trying to pick up on any movements. I mean, his normal strategy of hanging around the watering hole and waiting for animals to come down and lying in ambush works very, very well on a warm day. But when it's cool and overcast like this with some rain, the animals are able to get most of their moisture from the vegetation. They can almost lick it off, so that arduous journey to and from, or that deadly journey to and from a watering hole is not needed. So he's going to need to go out of his way to try and catch something, but also by staying very secreted away there in the thickets. There's a good chance he might get something like a nyala or a deka moving through unawares. Sorry, Megs, I didn't catch that question. Just calling someone in here quickly. Yeah, Goodwill, keep coming north. You got me here. Thunder. Thunder, that's a very good question about leopards and cubs. The whole objective, or the idea behind leopards being quite sort of they kind of are quite promiscuous, but lions as well to that degree. When the cubs are born, it first requires an enormous amount of mating for them to fall pregnant. And that kind of leaves that window of doubt in the male's sort of mind. Like, is it mine? Is it not mine? And, there might be a different smell. There might be a smell to it. He might know the female. If he's mated with her before, then he'll think, well, maybe they're my cubs. But sometimes leopards can go through 2 or 3, 4 matings before actually falling pregnant. So it could be with 2 or 3 different males, or 2 different males. So it leaves that sort of doubt out there in the population. But it's really hard to say. If he knows the female and she's well within his boundaries and never seems to leave, then most certainly, I suppose, they do kind of get that idea that the cubs are theirs. But it really is a hard one to understand, because some leopards invariably will kill their cubs and some won't, just like lions. And The lions who do kill cubs, as well as leopards, then invariably probably have more cubs than those who don't, and that sort of genetic trait will get passed on in the population. He's having a look. Okay. Trying to point out the leopard to these guys. They're not going to see it. Let's see if they can. Okay, they've got his visual. Here we go. Okay, well, we're going to stay with the Sana. Hopefully he comes down more towards us in the drainage so we can get a better view. But in the meantime, looks like Sydney has found some more tracks.
I have got a track here for Thandi, and there's even small tracks showing that Thandi is not alone. Thandi is with Kalamba. So these tracks are very much convincing that Thandi and Kalamba are definitely in the area here. And I am going to follow these tracks until we get to where we are, assuming that maybe Thandi and Kalamba got a kill somewhere in this block. So now I will be heading down towards this block and try to investigate further and see if we can relocate these cats. So now let's go right down there and see if we can go in and follow these tracks and see if we can find these lovely cats. Jennifer, Kalamba will be pushed when he's about 18 to 22 months old. So that is when now is going to live. Almost 2 years is when they are starting to get kicked and they live their own life. So I'm going to have to be very much careful here in this area because the weather is so very much cloudy, which is making it difficult. These animals and the grass are matching today. I just want to try and find a place where these tracks went to. Kathy, after the rain is very much difficult sometimes to conduct trekking because the moisture stays much longer. Every trek looks new. But also now the problem is it is raining as I'm trekking. So when it's raining while I'm trekking, it's difficult because all the fresh tracks looks old. So let's go back to Masai Mara. David is still sitting with the cheetah. Not too sure if the sighting is developing as the cheetah is looking shy.
Well, cheetah hasn't woken up yet, and you're here and you're not going anywhere. We only have good news. It's cooling off, and to most cats, once the temperature starts going up, or going down, sorry, rather, that's when they always rise and start moving around and maybe making plans either to go for a hunt or to go for a drink. They don't want to be in the same place, but also they need to be sure if they'll decide at the end of the day to spend the night here, they need to be 100% sure it's a very safe area. So they may come up, as you have seen cheetahs frequently doing, come to Tamil Mound or climb on some high ground or some big rock and look around and see, could there be a possibility, for example, of lions around? Could there be a possibility of leopards around? If nothing like that will be, then they may choose to sleep here. But the grass here is rather high. I doubt she may want to stay there for the night, and she may choose to go to a little bit open place. If you look at that grass there, it's pretty high. And as I was saying before, you didn't guess there's a cheetah there. Nikita, how are you? And that's a lovely question. Cheetah females territory? I would say no. Cheetah, I would say females, they'll always be moving around, and once they're in estrus, they will, join up with males and of course mate, and after about 3 months or so, they'll be having a litter, 3, 4, 5, 6 cubs. But what we have seen occasionally is like Nikita, males having territories, but not territories when I'm talking, for example, like lions or leopards, because we'll always have an idea from this point to that point, or from this hill to that river, to that marsh, to that tree. There's a pride of lions that stays around here. Leopards will be the same case. We might know from, in a particular area, there's a particular leopard that we see staying there. So for male cheetahs, what they'll do, Nikita, they may choose to stay or be territorial, say in quotes, just for food, not because of that territory, but if that area they are in has enough to support them in terms of food. For example, the cheetahs in the Mara, enough Thompson gazelles, enough Grand gazelles, enough impalas, they'll tend to stick around there. So they become territorial, not for anything, but for food. And we have seen also once in a while male cheetahs going for each other, not for mating rights, but because of food. But I think the best way I would be able to explain that. But cheetah females, they're here, they're mating this one male. They'll be next time after they have a litter. We are not sure it's this one or the other one that lost a litter or a couple of cubs. They'll be, mating with another male. And what will happen is cheetahs, the females, will need Nikita to move from one male to another. And that also helps them to avoid inbreeding, so that they don't keep mating with the same male and having cubs, and then those cubs mating with their brothers and sisters and mating again. Because once they get to the age of about 18 months or to 2 years, we have seen cheetahs and cubs going separate ways. So, again, as I said, cheetah females, I would not say they're very territorial. She is not waking up, and James is trying to zoom in there every minute to see whether you can might even see the tail flicking up, but nothing. But Nikita, don't worry, don't go away. We are still waiting here, and just like how our cheetah is having nap here, another spotted cat in South Africa is still doing the same.
Yes, well, it seems as if the cats are napping this afternoon. Osana may be just out of energy consumption. Cheetahs, well, they need to take their rest whenever they can get it. They're constantly being chased in the Masai Mara. They are the weakest of the large carnivores. And as David says, it's important for them to know what's around. There's always something sneaking up on them. Hyena, leopard and lion, always a big problem for cheetah. Natsa, what a great question. The wild dog has probably got the best success rate in the predator sort of hierarchy. When we look at the African wildlife, that is, cheetah would probably be similar to that of a leopard. Very different hunting strategies, but cheetah and leopard, very low success. They're probably both around between 20 and 30%. A lot of that's got to do with experience, time of year, and prey availability. Whereas wild dog, they just chase animals into the ground. It doesn't really matter where they go. They will catch something. It's not often that they go hungry. So wild dogs as a predator in African parks is actually, and a lot of times, is deemed a little bit of a problem because they kill so many animals. But that's just because they require enormous space. There's not too many parks in South Africa that have got enough space for wild dogs. And that's why it stems the need to drop fences and to increase the surface area of parks to allow dogs to move freely as they come and go. They don't necessarily have a territory, more so a very large home range revolving around a den site that they might have. And they can run for days almost looking for prey, which they invariably outmaneuver and bring to the ground, outpacing and basically eating it alive. I've never seen it happen in the wild. I've seen lots of videos and lots of pictures, but I've yet to actually keep up with the wild dogs in the chase. We did a couple of weeks back, and we followed them all the way down to Chitwa and then lost them. The pair that were moving, and then with James again just the other day. So we've had some interesting luck of late with wild dogs. But if they came into the scene, Hosana would no doubt go straight up a tree. He wouldn't want to incur the wrath of an angry dog. What have you spotted, young sir? I just love the intense stare that a leopard has when something gets its attention. I'm just going to have a little scan, have a look. I'm looking behind us. I don't see anything. There's some go-away birds shouting. Could still be one of the hyenas tracking him. They seem to constantly be tracking them down. So yeah, I think hyena have also got quite a good success rate when they are hunters, when they focus on hunting in the clans. The Masai Mara, Jamie and her North clan seems to see plenty of kills. So we should never put the hyena out of the hunting spectrum, because we spent a lot of time with Tingana, who is constantly scavenging, so he gives the predators a bit of a bad name, but that's what all predators will do. They will steal and be opportunistic. But let's hopefully see if Sydney has managed to find any more fresh tracks of Tandi, because it'd be marvelous to find her this afternoon.
Tandi just got disappeared in the block right in front of me, and the tracks are just going in and out. They're just all over the place, which is making it very difficult for me to navigate. But I am still going to hang in the very same area and see if maybe Tandi and Kalamba are going to come out from this block. These tracks, I followed them all the way down from Buffalo's Dam. They went there for some water earlier on, so now they are on their way back. Maybe they've got a kill hiding somewhere in these bushes. I haven't picked up any sign, no alarm call, nothing. It's just very quiet here. Safari, Sally, the leopards, yes, are some of the animals which are associated with king and chiefs. They believe that a leopard is a symbol of strength. So here is where I'm hoping to pick up those tracks coming from the block, coming back to this road. I can't wait to find these animals this afternoon. I haven't seen Tandi and Kalamba for a couple of days now. They have been hiding. It would be very great if I find them. So here I just got some hyena tracks, and this hyena seems to be following Tandi and Kalamba, as it is the very same hyena which led me to Tandi and Kalamba's tracks when I started trekking from the dam. Polecat Mama, the leopards, I'm not too sure what distance they can travel every day but they don't travel that much. Only the territorial males is the ones that travels a lot because they must have to go back and patrol their territories. Yes. Oh yes, find some of the birds there. Quite a lovely bird. I can't see the front part very nicely, but it looks like is the Marshall eagle. So the Marshall are big birds, as they can take down something like a steenbok. Is it?
Not sure. No, African hawk eagle, I think.
Yeah, because it's very much difficult to see from where I am, because I can just see those kind of spots. But it looks like the juvenile Marshall eagle. Oh, it is the African hawk eagle. It's trying to listen to some of the pole-spotted owl calling from the western side. I'm just going to carry on and see if we can reallocate the tracks again. So let's go back to the cheetah sighting in Masai Mara, where David is looking for a chance for the cheetah to wake up.
Well, the cheetah hasn't woken up. But one thing I know for a fact, she will. At one point, she will. And from the village I come from, we have, or I remember a long time ago when we would walk, us young boys in the village would meet with cheetahs at night. And if I try to remember those days or those years and now, what I used to see, they were fully grown or they were adult cheetahs and not youngsters. Now I know when we say cheetahs will either form a coalition, and I'm talking of cheetahs having 2 or 3 or 4 or even sometimes 5 brothers together. But it's very difficult to see like 2 sisters or 3 sisters staying together. They could be littermates, but once they're fully grown and the mother like walks them through, they are mature, they are able to be independent, they can hunt on their own. I still keep, going back to putting my eyes there just in case she wakes up, but she hasn't woken up. So I remember back, those days in the village, what we used to see, I would wonder, how do we see 4 or 5 cheetahs together? And just found out today, those were males, but that's a long time ago. In this particular area, not far from where we are, we got 5 cheetahs that are called the musketeers, and they have always traveled like 5 brothers. And those 5 brothers now, like during the migration time that we got now, they can bring down even a fully grown zebra, they can bring down a fully grown wildebeest because, of course, of the numbers. Strong, big mouths, and they're able to easily subdue any fully grown, prey. You would imagine 5 cheetahs going for like a Thompson gazelle. That would be a joke. So most of the times you've seen them either going for a wildebeest or a zebra, or sometimes they've even gone for toppies. Fully, big praise. So the small ones, you'd see like this female here who's not waking up, either going for one. Do you see a flick, James, of the tail there? I don't know if there's a flick of a tail. Let's find out. Not really. What I saw was a movement of the grass. It's so still now, and there's not any wind picking up. So, Ferris, how are you asking, are cheetahs or leopards more dependent on water? From my experience, I have seen either of them, once they make a kill and they have eaten and they're full, chances are they'll go for a drink. But if I would compare one-on-one, I have seen leopards drinking more water than cheetahs. Try to think the reason why. Maybe, SafariLive, just to guess, I would say leopards might have a kill and drag it somewhere on top of a tree and eat it 2, 3, 4 days. We have found out cheetahs, once they make the kill, they'll eat it fresh, and rarely do they go to the same kill 2 times, even in a day. One sitting, they're full, they're gone. So I'm trying to imagine whatever kill it is, be it a Tommy, be it a Grand Gazelle, have lots of moisture in it or have lots of water in it, and that as much as they get the protein, also they get enough to drink per se. So chances are, I would say I've seen leopards drinking more than cheetahs, because if a leopard will keep the same kill 2, 3, 4 days, it dries out, becomes something like biltong, so it'll need to go and drink frequently. But a cheetah will eat the kill being fresh, and that also will take care of the needs for drinking the water. I'm trying to imagine even how I can whisper to this cheetah to wake up. Cheetah, cheetah, we have been here, we have been waiting. Cheetah, wake up. I would want you to wake up before Hosanna. Hosanna, can you hear me all the way from Kenya?
He can, David. He's looking directly north. He's going, I can hear you, David. I can hear you. He's even flicking his ears for you, sir. What a beautiful cat. I know I say that a lot, but he is an absolutely beautiful specimen, and he is filling out. He's definitely thickened up a bit. He's still got some way to go until he fits into the shoes of his father. Ravinder, that's a great question. I don't know. I really don't know at what age a leopard starts sawing, but the sawing comes with sort of the need to be territorial, and once his testosterone levels reach a certain point and he's claiming a territory, then about then, I suppose. But there's another Franklin that's just wandering down just in front of him there. There's the second one, the bravest birds I've ever seen. He is not showing any interest. I find it incredible. That's the second one that just moseyed straight past him again. And there's a third one coming. Come on, Hosanna, show us what you can do. But once he starts claiming territory and becoming territorial, then he most certainly will start sawing. But when you start sawing, you give away your immediate presence. So if he starts sawing, it's a direct challenge to any male leopard in the area. And if he's not big enough and strong enough to defend himself, well, the big male leopard will come tearing in to be like, who is this calling? Who is this making a noise in my territory? And that will be quite a showdown. But so it's kind of like shouting, or what's the right word? A certain display that only a mature animal will do, because by doing it you're indicating readiness to fight, readiness to compete. And I don't think he's quite there yet. The longer he can sort of stay within this territory of his father's, stay under the radar, the better for him. The bigger and stronger he'll get. But as soon as he starts showing that behavior, I've no doubt Tingana will tell him to leave. Hello, April, new viewer. Well, I'm going to demonstrate, but a leopard does a territorial call that sounds just like a plank of wood being sawed by a bow saw. So just have a little listen. I'm going to demonstrate it in my mic over here. Kind of like that, but a bit louder. And it's indicative of leopards, male and female leopard both saw. There's a different sort of frequency to both of them, and length. Males are a bit shorter, a bit louder than females. And I believe jaguars have a very similar call. I'm not sure, I've never heard a jaguar. But leopards, like tigers and lions and jaguars, all fall under the Panthera family, and that is because they've got a specialized organ in their chest, kind of like cartilage and ligaments around their lungs and their rib cages, that allow them to, when they make that noise, allows it to be like a vocal box sort of extension, sort of like a huge amplifier of sound, and it is characteristic of the Panthera genus. Lions obviously roar. Tigers, I'm not actually quite sure what they do, but they make some form of of a roaring sound. I've never heard one. And jaguar, I believe, are quite similar to leopards in their calling. And it's all about territory, and it's all about advertising themselves. And if you are strong and willing to compete and willing to mate, then invariably you are calling and announcing yourself. I hope that answers your question, April. When we find the Duke, the dominant Duke of Djuma, we sometimes get him calling. It is quite a remarkable thing to experience. They'll put their head quite low to the ground to sort of increase the sort of the acoustic sound of it, and they often do it on the move, and it has got quite a nice carry to it, but it's nowhere near as loud as that of lions. But then lions' territory and leopards' territory are very different in size. And invariably you can actually find 2 or 3 leopards within a male leopard's territory, and Sydney can tell you more. He's busy searching for a famous leopardess.
I have just entered the Mulawati drainage, which is the dry riverbed now. I am going to check around here because this is the area where the tracks I saw was heading to. So I'm just going to look up on these trees, as it seems like they've got a kill somewhere here. I haven't seen them for a while, but if they went all the way down to the waterhole and come back to the same area, it means they have got something to hide. And that is what I'm trying to investigate now. Nikita, the leopards, they go for a certain training in order to learn how to hunt when they're about 18 months. Over 18 months, they know what to do. That is when they can be able to take down a prey by themselves. Maybe I will be lucky and see them somewhere here. So I'm just going to check this dry riverbed and see if we can find these beautiful 2 cats here. David is still waiting for the cheetah to wake up. It's very much patience on the other side. So let's see, maybe the cheetah is going to surprise him and start showing up.
I feel a bit frustrated just to show you nothing but grass and grass. I don't know what James can do. Big James, you're so big, James, and we can see something different from grass. This grass is too much. If I would be able to blow this grass with my mouth and open up that area there, would be definitely happy to see the mama cheetah laying down there. Either, sorry about the noise from that car, they've been waiting like us here, they've been frustrated, they're going, and for me, I'm sure from since I was this big, I never say never, and we just saw a little tweak of the head there, just moved a little bit there. James, did you see that? But either when the engine started, she also put her head up. King Kamash, that is an interesting question, and you're asking what colors do the animals see in? And it depends on what animals you're talking about. You know, in all animals, including human beings, we have what we call cones and rods. And I would say for the cats, they tend to see blue very well and green. I'm thinking. And they may not see red very well. And bigger animals, I would say, they might see dark and light shades, especially at night. And I'm talking about, say, rhinos or elephants or buffaloes. and those would be the colors they would say. But it's a big spectrum of what the animals, you can say 100%, they can identify a particular color. I've always been told a story in my village where we had ladies going to get some firewood in a particular bush not far from home, and there used to be one old rock buffalo. You know, buffaloes, when they get old, especially the males, they tend to be shown the door by the females, and they remain on their own, and occasionally they get very grumpy. And the story was, there's one rock buffalo that did not like a particular woman. I don't know how true that was. And anytime it would see these ladies going to fetch firewood, it would chase them, and this buffalo would concentrate on this particular one woman. Not sure because of her face or the clothes she used to wear. So a friend of mine asked the same story and asked, how could that be? And this version he gave me is that one lady wore a particular color of a dress. And there's a day when this buffalo chased all the women dropped their loads of firewood, they scattered in different directions, but this buffalo concentrated on that one particular woman. So I would say maybe they would see color, or there's something that particular buffalo would smell in that lady that he did not like. Now, Cheetah, I'm giving you another 5 minutes, and I'm requesting you to wake up. James, tell me, what can we do for this cheetah to rise and shine? James, please stop laughing. I asked you a question. I'd be happy if you could give me a good answer. Well, James tells me to be patient, and let's find out whether Hosanna is sympathetic with us.
Of course he's sympathetic, although he is busy with his own observations. His head is up once again in the opposite direction. Listening for anything that might be moving around. There's the leopard's domain and the pole of the roof. Apologies for that. I'm just guiding another vehicle into the sighting, so in a moment, excuse me if I do speak again on the radio. The little chief has got his fans. Kathy, in my experience, I'm thinking the Sabi Sands has got one of the highest densities, or the Kruger National Park, the Lowveld, but we see an enormous amount of them in the Sabi Sands due to the fact that they've been quite well relaxed and habituated for a very long time. So if you want to see leopards on safari, the Sabi Sands, there are many, many different lodges. It is the place to go. The Kruger Park itself and the Lowveld, they're all over the place, but if they're encounter lots of people, or there's, what's he got? Where are you going, young chief? He's having a stretch now. If there's all sorts of interaction with people and agriculture, well, they're a lot more scarce. But ecotourism, as what happens out here, makes the leopard far more relaxed. Oh well, we're going to have to try and keep up with him now. He's gone over the edge, hasn't he, Ravi? This is going to be interesting. He's gone exactly where we were hoping he wasn't going to go. But that is the way it works out here. This is the way it works. These animals are not tame animals, they are wild. Okay, well, we try and see where exactly he's going to go. Let's go back up to Sydney and see if he's got an update on Tandy's tracks.
I am still following on tracks, and now I've just gone out of the Mulwati dry riverbed, going further west of the game reserve to see if I can link the tracks I saw earlier on with the area where these animals are hiding at the moment. Trekking is never easy this afternoon. So the rain disturbed all my plans. So now I'm just looking up in these trees to see if they're hiding something there. So I'm back again on the road, and I want to try and reallocate the tracks again and see. Ninamu, the leopards are so very much secretive because those animals, they like to catch something and hide it up by the trees to avoid competition. On the ground, they don't want to ground the food, otherwise other animals will come and deprive their food. That is why they prefer to hide up by the trees. So I can see here the hyena just went down much more this side, and this hyena is the one following the tracks of these cats. So I just want to try and check if maybe this hyena is going to lead me to where they are, somewhere this side. So let's see, maybe the sighting of the cheetah is developing with David. He is still there waiting. Maybe he's got a better visual by now.
Well, I think you're winning. Finally, we got the head. Our patience has paid. It has been a game of waiting, and I think at the end of the day now, it's paying. As I said earlier, temperature's going down, which means the cheetah coming up. Now that's the head. You can see the eyes. Hello, beautiful turn. Well done, James. Don't face the other way. Face us. Please face this direction. We've been waiting for so long for you. And Megan in the final control is equally excited like me. But the cheetah says, well, I need another few seconds of having a nap. But you can see her breathing there. If you look carefully on your screen, you can see her belly going up and down, up and down. The lighter part there, or the spots you see, that's the belly, and that's the hind quarters. You can see the tail flicking. Well done, James. And I was talking to a friend of mine by the name of Brent, and we thought we'd be able to identify, as we were saying with James Henry, whether this is the mother or the daughter, Narutoi or Kakenya. And one of the identity, marks we'd use, it's the very end of the tail. Cheetahs will have particular spots, as much as the tip might be white, but the particular either rings or dots they might have on them. And I think she is coming up again, James, maybe? Just see, yes, you can see the head if you look carefully, and you can see the ears flicking there. And sometimes also, if you look on the ears, you can see they have particular ear tears, and they get either torn. That also helps to identify the cheetahs. Occasionally, if it's the males, you might see them particular scars on their faces, if they have had a bit of conflict here and there. But the tail makes a very good identity, and there's a particular pattern that you would see if you look at them carefully. But also the face, some of the experts have been able to tell, unlike leopards that have what you call the spot patterns that you use to tell on the chins. Very good. That is pretty good. Megan says she's happy to see what you have seen. We have been here for quite some time, and we are not leaving because I'm so convinced she'll rise up. So I was talking about leopards have been, easily identified, like in South Africa, in Juma, Hosanna, Tingana, Tandi, name them by their sport patterns right there. But cheetah is rather difficult to do that. So the pattern on the tail or at the very end of the tip of the tail helps a lot. But the particular ones, if you look on the ears of the cheetahs, you might get they have a particular tear, either on the left ear or the right ear, or two tears on the ears, and that might help a lot. Once in a while, you might see a scar either below the eye or above the head, and that might tell. Or just like the lions we were watching before, we saw one that was limping, that we call the limpy. So if you see a cheetah maybe that has a permanent limp that doesn't heal, also that might help to identify them. Fantastic. We'll still keep waiting here, and Hosanna might be a little active than our cheetah here.
Yes, well, he is indeed. He's up. He's been moving very slowly through the through the thickets here. We've done very well to get around and catch up with him. I think he's moving more in smell now than anything. We've done a really good job to get where we are, and now he's going to go back out. This is something we see Shadulu and Tandi do a lot. They move through an area, then they can tell that there's a fresh sort of activity there of a duiker or something. You can see him poising his body. Maybe he even saw one. He flushed one. And then the objective or the strategy those animals have is the freeze and flight. They run a short distance and then they stand very still. Maybe that's what he spotted. We didn't see. He moved into the drainage with a little bit of a very slow, sort of deliberate stalking motion. Hello, Ron. How high can a leopard leap? Well, they generally climb up a tree, so they use their claws, so they can jump probably 6 foot or so, I'd say, from a jumping start. But that's a guess. I've never seen a leopard on a standing start just jump in the air. I've seen footage of them catching impala, that launching over their head. But invariably, in going up a tree, getting 1 meter to 6 feet off the ground is a very good start to elevate them up. Something just dashed off to the right. I don't know if you saw that, Davy. I saw something out the corner of my eye dash. A very tricky spot to get into now. Wonderful camera work there, Dave. Keeping with him. I can still see his ears there. Yeah, there he is. His behaviour's changed. Whatever it is that he saw has run off, it seems. And the birds, there's some starlings shouting at him now. His cover's been given away. Try another tack, Willie. Here we go. Good boy. He's going to come all the way back down and say, okay, you probably can't follow me through here, so let me come back down that side, because I just love this guy. Maybe he's trying to pick up on fresh scent trail of whatever it was again. All the way back. There he is. You're a magnificent specimen. Sniffing around. What has he smelt? Is he interested in a prey animal? Has there been a leopard here or hyena that he's interested in? He's going to have a toilet stop right there, is he? No, he thought about it. Okay, well, he's right behind the car again. Sorry about that. Now he's digging. There we go. Now he's going to. Okay, well, while we try and reposition, let's go back up to Sydney and see what he's up to.
It is still very quiet at the moment here where I am. I have been trying to also listen to the bush just to hear if there is any sign of an alarm call, but it is very much quiet. I haven't picked up any of the alarm calls at the moment, because now where I am, the grass is too much. It's difficult to track at the moment, so I was just checking some of the trees here just to see if maybe they are up in a tree. So I'm just gonna go back to the main road now and see if we can be lucky and find something. hyenas can hurt leopards. Hyenas, when they come for the food, they come, and hyena is way much stronger than leopards. So those animals can hurt leopards because they walk as a group. So it's easy for them to fight as a group against a leopard. And the leopards, they give up very easily when it comes to the hyenas. But not only the leopards, all these kind of predators, when hyena comes, they give up. So I'm trying to check everywhere up on these trees, but I can see that it is very much quiet. Did you hear something? Oh, I think my camera operator heard something. Yes, yes. We can hear a hyena now giving a call. So what I'm going to do now is to try and get to where those hyenas are calling from. Maybe that is going to lead us to something. It's not very far away from where we are at the moment. So let's see, David still has got the cheetah. Maybe the cheetah is now becoming active as he has been lying down for long.
Any calls for hyenas now could be anything. And where we are now, we are picking from a distance some calls or grunts from the wildebeest. And sorry about that engine noise there. But we can hear wildebeest from a distance going, What just spoke to you? Just turning around and rolling over. We want you to stand up. We've been here for so long. And this is the beauty of what we do. You wouldn't use the word frustration for being in the bush for this long, but it pays to wait and to read the behavior of these animals. I still believe it takes so many years for us to understand how these animals behave, what they think, because they've been here for quite some time, and she's still not worried or wanting to do anything. Boom. Minamu, how have you been, and what nice to hear your name. And your question is, do cheetah coalition males mate with the same female? What I have seen out in the bush a couple of years now is when it comes to mate, even if there'll be 5 of them, one of them will pick the female, and they tend to go or to drift on the side, and the other 4 will remain together, but not very far from each other. But I haven't seen, for example, in lions or lionesses, where one female would mate with 2-3 different males at the same time or separately before she conceives. But for cheetahs, I've seen it'll be one female cheetah, one male cheetah, and they'll mate, she conceives, and boom, they go separate ways, and then the male will rejoin the brothers. Fine. All right, you never know. We hear something could be happening interesting with Hosanna.
Yes, well, he's spotted something again, and I'm terribly sorry about the pole. He is inching forward. We cannot see what he sees. Here we go, there's a scrubhead just in front of him, and has no idea he's there. Let's see if he's got the patience. The scrubhead's moving towards him. Well, the scrub hare spotted him. That was very close. Good afternoon, everybody. How are we all doing? Welcome to Djuma in the Sabi Sands. We are currently with a young male leopard of 2.5 years old. Sorry about the scratches there. And he just tried to catch a scrub hare. We had him in shot for a moment, and he's now disappeared from view. We're trying to get him again. Please drop your questions and comments below. My name is Stephen, joined on camera by David. Where have you gone? He just tried to catch a scrub hare and has since disappeared. Here he is, Dave. To the right, there we go. Okay, so he's probably still looking for something. The scrub hare, once it's been spotted and runs away, will run off and find a nice sort of hidey space. Here he's coming out on the right. He's still busy sniffing, trying to catch himself something. I don't think he's seen anything though, but he knows by walking along this little sort of thicket drainage depression that there's a good chance of there being small antelope like daker, small francolin like sort of grouse like birds, as well as scrub hares. All of them will go down as a nice little meal for him. Let's see if we can get around to the front. Hello everybody, welcome. I hope you're having a beautiful afternoon. We've been with him for some time. Let's see if we can catch up with him again. He's being very intimidating this afternoon. Well, it was an interesting couple of minutes. We thought he was going to catch that scrub hare, but if you'd like to watch more of the action, we are still live. Watch us for another 30 minutes or so. So jump on board and Google SafariLive. You can catch us there. From our side, thank you for joining. Okay, well, we're going to keep with Osana and see what he gets up to. And in the meantime, let's go see how Skip's tracks.
I am now following the call from the hyena just to see if maybe that was just a normal call for the hyena or is a call looking for a backup because they have managed to reallocate Tandy and Hosana with a kill somewhere. So I just want to try and see why that hyena was calling and what the hyena is up to. I still have not yet relocated the tracks, but the call was coming from this direction. He's not calling anymore, so I'm just going to switch off my vehicle just to listen again. Maybe we might hear him calling again. Very, very quiet. He's not making any calls. So let's carry on and see. Maybe we're going to be lucky again and hear him. There's been quite a lot of small animals activities. I can see a lot of tracks here for the impalas running around. But no Tandy and Kalamba tracks at the moment. I'm just trying to check everywhere. Is that a branch on top of the tree, Fek? Yeah, this a shape we don't understand. We just want to verify, just to check if... Oh, it's a branch. I thought it was a leopard. Looks like a leopard from here where I am. Hosana is on the move. Let's see. Steve is following Hosana at the moment.
Yes, we're trying to. We just spotted a daker that we think he might have seen. I don't know if he's torn across the track line to get it. Very hard to see from where we are right now. We do have another vehicle in the sighting with us, just joined us now, so they'll be able to update us if, sure, we're back on the road. Just down here, it's the same. She's
I am now heading towards that area. I will be heading towards the Twinsdam Road and see if maybe there's other interesting animals I can find now on my way back to that side. So the tracks for the hyenas and the tracks for Tandi and Kalamba is quite very difficult to see them at the moment. So the cheetah maybe is showing some activities now. Let's go to David in Masai Mara and see the cheetah on his side.
We are getting very close there. We are getting very close there. Now the head has remained up for the last 5 minutes. To me, that's a good sign, but you can still tell this cat is very sleepy. She either got her eyes open for 30 seconds, closed for 45 seconds, but it's a good sign now. She got her head up. Beautiful look. Hey there. So you can see the black tear marks I was talking about earlier. So if you look, her eyes, or the 2 black lines from her eyes all the way to the mouth. Don't go down, please. What language do you understand, Madam Cheetah, today? And then talking of those 2 black lines is what tells the difference or separates cheetahs from leopards. Otherwise, sometimes when you see them in the field from a distance, you can easily confuse or mix them up. And I'm sure she will still wake up. I am not going anywhere, James, and we just need to be patient. Sometimes patience in the bush pays a lot, and when you sit and wait, time comes for whoever you're waiting for to move, because she will not be there forever. And I think the temperature is not pretty good, and I'm sure we all know when cheetahs go for a hunt, people always wonder why cheetahs give a chase and at one point stop when they're so close to getting their prey. The reason being, when cheetahs stalk and then they go and they chase the prey, at one point when they're so close they stop, because the temperatures, unlike for lions, leopards that go up like this, for cheetahs it's more of that. So if the temperatures get so high in their bodies and they feel they're not very comfortable, the only thing they have to do is just to stop and try another day. Sometimes you watch them hunting and they get so close, they're only like excuse me, 3, 4, 5 meters away from the prey, and they decide to stop. You're like, it was so close. Well, depending on how you're looking at the scenario, depending on who you're cheering, the prey or the predator, but the reason they will stop, she has no reason to wake up. James, do you think if you pan to the right a little bit, there's a possibility of us seeing her there? Keep going, keep going. Somewhere around there. Not very clear. Not very clear. Not even the spots was seen before. I think she has gone even more flat down. And I don't think I'm getting frustrated. I'm here to stay. Haron, how are you today? And very exciting to have you on board for the first time and being a new viewer. Please remember, we are always broadcasting 2 times in a day, live in the morning and in the afternoon. And always make sure you join us for us to bring you these wonderful sightings. And you're asking, are we not afraid of these animals? And I tell you, Haron, one thing, we have learned these animals. We have seen them, or we have lived them for many years. So the thing is, you give them their space, all works good. We remain in the cars. We know their behavior. We can read what we call trigger signs. When you feel an animal, be it an elephant or a cheetah that we're trying to watch here, it's becoming uncomfortable, we'll always pull back. But so long as you stay in the car, they're habituated to us as good people. Then they might see big Land Rover smelling fumes, diesel, not something they may want to get into close to. But once in a while, when it's too hot, for example, and you bump into lions hunting and they're eating or they made the kill in an open space, we have seen sometimes the lions either trying to drag the kill towards the shadow of the car, and they'll come eat so close to the car. We'll always remain there. We do not move, and they have found out we are good friends. So basically, Harun, what I'm saying, the animals will respect us, and we respect them, and nothing goes wrong. So thank you, Harun, for joining us. Thank you for being a new viewer. Keep watching us. In East Africa time, we are always out 6:30 in the morning to about 8:30 every day, and in the afternoon, 1600 hours up to 1900 hours. So it's always be good. Come and join us. We always show live good stuff like this, both from the Masai Mara Triangle in Kenya and also from the Juma Private Game Reserve in South Africa. Let's find out if this cheetah is going to wake up and maybe wave at you, Harun, being a new viewer. And Sydney is not giving up. As much as I am going to stay or stick with this cheetah as long as it takes, Sydney is still having hopes of seeing a spotted cat at one point.
I am not going to give up now. I am on Twinsdam Road now, where those tracks were heading to. I managed to relocate the hyena tracks again. Maybe it's the hyena which was giving a call earlier on. I'm trying to follow and see where these tracks are heading to. Maybe they're going to lead us to a fantastic sighting. Nina Mo, the hyenas, they are nocturnals, which means they are active during the night. During the day is when the hyenas are sleeping by their dens, so they don't make noise during the day. But sometimes early in the morning you can hear them. I have heard them before. So they make a very lovely call. Specifically, the spotted hyenas, the laughing hyenas. So my last hope is here on Twinsdams Road. Tandy is not that very shy, but Kalamba is very much shy. I have seen Kalamba on several occasions hiding away from me. She's still very young. She's still preferring hide and seek. So now let's see, Steve is still having Hosanna. Not too sure if Hosanna is mobiling or stationary.
Yes, well, we're going to have to go to the FLIR camera to be able to see him. He has walked past us and is now walking towards the Umawati drainage. You can, he's just behind one log. I'm on a bit of a slope. Let me just go back. There he is. And you just see him there. He's lying down again. Not the best sighting, but there is a big tree in the way. He had one more little stalk towards the duiker that we had moments before, but it seems like the duiker's elusive nature has lost Osana's attention, but he is not done. He is still moving. This is an area I assisted Tristan in following him one day, but we had the drone above with the thermal image. We were able to help him guide. So now if you look with the normal camera, you'll see he is completely invisible somewhere there. It is the way it works. He has been so accommodating today. So accommodating. We're going to probably have to try and come around into the river itself to see if we can get him direction he's going. To come through here, near impossible. Should we try that, Darby? Okay, up the hill we go. Should try in here maybe. See if you can just see him through there. Do a little bit of a scan. There he is. We can see him with the thermal camera, but we can't see him with the infrared camera. Or can we? No. There, see how amazing it is having this technology. How we're able to see a leopard there in the darkness. I remember when I first spent time with these infrareds, I thought, wow, how amazing is that? But from a distance, they're not that useful. But there, Hosanna sitting 40 odd meters in the thickets, lying down, is completely obvious to the heat sensing camera, the FLIR. And so would any prey animals that he might be seeing. We'd probably see on the thermal as well. But I don't think we're going to get in here. This is a very inaccessible sort of area. I just shine now. It's a complete thicket in there, so as you can see with the normal camera, the infrared, he's in there. To the left of that branch. Somewhere there. There we go. I can see him now. You can just make out his ear and his mouth behind that bush there. But anyway, there we go. We got the spots. But anyway, let's go all the way back up to the Mara, where David has probably got some spots in a much better view than we have.
Well, better visuals than Hosanna, I would guess. And I remember earlier I had asked the boys, Sydney and Steve Ovo will be doing a competition today on our sightings. I don't know how that is going, Megan, but at least you got a better visual now of this cheetah than before. And you can see the belly there. You can see her breathing slowly, going up and down. I wouldn't call that panting. I would just call that normal breathing. I don't know what's normal breathing. If I was a veterinary doctor, whether I'd say she's healthy, but from what I see, good yawn, good roll. But please, Madame Cheetah, stand up. Yeah, we can see you are close, shaking your head. I'm not surprised if any 1 minute now you stand up. You have kept us waiting, which I enjoy, and that gives me lots of pleasure and big passion just to be out in the bush, being very patient. Very good job there, James. See all that breathing now. He's facing away from us now, and from the look of that belly, to me she looks very well fed. She doesn't look hungry at all. And as cheetah will always hunt during the day. If anything, should have hunted earlier, or she might have tried maybe and failed. But from what I can tell, either yesterday or early this morning, she had some kill. Breathing, blending very well in the grass. Maybe she'll decide to spend the night here. I'm just worried because of the tall grass. PlayStation, you're asking, do cheetahs ever race each other for dominance? It really happens. It really happens. We haven't seen cheetahs going for each other, and even in the males, the cats that we have gone or we have seen going each for each other are the lions. I'm talking about leopards. Lions, leopards have always been known to go for each other for dominance. And of course, for two reasons, they'll go for each other. Number one, mating rights. That's always the big thing why male lions will tend to go for each other. But occasionally also, they go for each other for food. Depending on the amount of prey that is available, they might go for each other. This cheetah now, we're just watching the belly. She puts her head up, then she goes down again. Oh, I just wish you'd just rise up. For us today, we have been very patient, but at least this is a better visual than what we had before. So cheetahs in general would say they rarely go for each other. Males, as I said earlier, they might go for each other just because of food that is available. I haven't seen cheetah males fighting because of breeding rights. It's mainly because of food. Females always easy with each other. And unless they're mating, we have seen once in a while a daughter touching base with the mother once in a while, then they go separate ways. Well, what a day it has been with Hosanna in South Africa, lions in Kenya, elephants, and this cheetah that has kept us waiting here. Putting the head up. Are you trying to tell us goodbye? But I would want to thank all of you viewers. We have lots of joy to have you watching. Remember, we'll be out tomorrow morning. Please join us. Thank you so very much, and goodbye from all of us.